It's Friday. You know what that means? Off the rails. On the Real Kyper and Bourne show. Nick Kypreos sporting his 1980 salesman shirt. Justin Bourne. Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, Jen Rolnick, all with you for the next 2 hours. We'll start off with the Leaf edition, of course, into our show. And then we'll move it towards Doug MacLean, who's got the Friday reputation all to himself to completely drive us into a ditch.
Yeah, it's really good to start the show by setting the bar low and seeing if Doug can get under it.
Okay. And speaking of low, and I didn't describe your look today as a 1980s salesman. You did.
Would you like to join my bowling team?
So let me get this straight.
I personally love it. You look hunky, I think. I think you look good.
You wake up and you had a couple of choices, and that's the one you went with.
Well, this guy was taking cuts day in the sim for sure.
Yeah. So I did. I went to the sim today. You got to wear a collar. Swung the golf clubs a little bit.
No need to further explain.
Okay.
If there's a golf simulator involved, then we welcome in your shirt.
I was in Hawaii in my mind, hitting it off the volcanic lava today.
Kapalua?
One that sounds like that, but isn't that? No, lie.
Yeah.
Well, wherever you're watching and listening, Sportsnet 590, Sportsnet 360, Sportsnet Plus. We're glad you are with us for the next 2 hours. It'll be fun. And as always, we welcome in your texts, especially on a Friday when we really start running out of gas in the last 15 or 20 minutes.
A couple of good games.
Please send in your texts. Sammy will be more than happy to read them. And in about 30 minutes, we'll also tee up the Colorado Avalanche, who are in play this weekend for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Aarif Deen will join us. Aarif Deen will join us from Mile High Sports. He also hosts a podcast, Hockey Mountain High Avalanche podcast. We'll get an update on how good this Avs team is. Landeskog is skating a little bit. We need an update there.
For a really good team, there's a lot of kind of drama things with that team. It's kind of exciting. Like you think about what happened with Rantanen and Lehkonen earlier in the year.
Yep.
Taves calling out the whole team. Landeskog maybe back. Gorgiev leads the league in starts this year. 34 starts.
And wins. And the weirdest thing, because they seem to be scuffling, not doing great. And then you check the standings, they're 27-12.
Yeah, they're right there.
8-1-1 in their last 10.
3 points back of the Winnipeg Jets, who have won 8 games in a row.
Yeah.
So they're right there.
Okay. Leafs blow a 2-goal lead. Yes. Leafs can't close out in regulation. Kind of seen this movie before.
Yeah. They obviously had some failings last night in special teams or something I know we're going to get to at some point. But I do think they played a pretty good hockey game last night. I thought it was a good hockey game, period. But, by, sort of the fancy metrics in my own eye test, I thought the Leafs had brought a pretty good effort. They outchanced the Islanders. And, disappointing to see them not get 2 points last night because I thought they played well enough to get them both.
I think Keith mentioned yesterday that coming off the Sharks games, it might be a bit of an adjustment. Mm-hmm. It felt like it for the first bit of the first period, maybe the first 15 minutes of the first period, where they're like, oh, the other team gets to have the puck now, too.
Yeah.
And we have to adjust to that fact because they played, Ducks, Sharks, 3 in a row, where they had the puck the entire game for 3 straight games. So they had to kind of adjust. But I agree. I thought they played pretty well. And, Matthews' brilliance, and then away we go. But, it was a pretty good game.
Yeah. And nice to see their fourth line becoming relevant. That McMahon group. I know Holmberg's kind of been playing third line at times, but, McMahon ripping one in, getting harder for Ryan Reeves to get back in that lineup, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think with the way certain players have kind of stepped up a little bit, it's going to be real tough. But here we are, barely halfway through the season, and it's pretty incredible how much time we've spent so far on overtime conversations when you consider that 3-on-3 hockey is nowhere to be seen in the playoffs. And yet, I would imagine through Leaf Nation on social media or even your post-game show, how much time was spent on that overtime and McCabe starting and why the Leafs blew a chance for an extra point, a very important extra point, and how it went down. And I think we should start there because a lot of question marks on Jake McCabe. Sorry, did I say Brian? Really?
I don't know. I think you said Jake.
Okay.
I don't. I didn't hear Brian.
So a lot of people. First question: where's Morgan Riley to start? Watching last night, I can't recall in all my days of watching 3-on-3 anybody have maybe a worse 3-on-3 shift in overtime than Jake McCabe had last night. It was a disaster.
It was not pretty. Not pretty.
No. A disaster.
I'm going to save him. I'm going to save him on one aspect of this. I know ugly going back in the puck and makes a bad pass, right?
No, with the first, Matthews bumped it back, and I think it went through his legs.
It went through the middle of his stick blade. Yeah.
That's Buckner for the Red Sox stuff.
A little lower stakes, I'd say, but
lower stakes, but a little comparable.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Comparable to the fact it went through his legs, sure.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
In that one aspect.
Okay, go.
So he goes back, bad pass. The face-off play, I've never watched a guy who's on the ice to be the defensively responsible guy line up in a situation where it's he's mine, he's yours, and then get beat off the wall for a goal. But I watched that play back, and it looks like the Islanders win the puck back to, is it Dobson who makes the play or whatever? Matthews wins that off McCabe's skate. He shoots it so hard to the wall that the
it bounced off.
Yeah, it hits him. So McCabe's like, oh, is it my feet? And that gave him the time. But like, it's not like
it's not a clean win though. It's not a huge win. It went to the side almost as a 50-50 puck.
For sure. And it hit McCabe. But my point is that McCabe, if it were a clean loss, McCabe would just back up and take Barzal. He actually thought he was going to make a play on the puck, and by the time he looked down, Barzal's behind him.
I don't know. He did delay.
Yeah.
And was it because he lost sight of the puck for a split second?
I think it was just like, oh, it's here. Oh, it's gone. Oh, I'm in trouble. You know, it all kind of happened. Bang, bang.
And how about the bounce off his skate, landing like a pillow on Dobson's stick?
Yeah.
Like right in the sweet spot to put it on Barzal to end up in the net.
And Barzal makes kind of a sweeping backhand. He makes a really nice play to finish it. Still, the Leafs have now been in overtime 16 times this season with 4 forwards who make a bajillion dollars and a great defenseman, and they've won 4 of 16 games. They won an additional 4 in the shootout, so 8 total,
4 of 16 in the actual.
So we can chalk up to maybe McCabe with a unlucky bounce off of the face-off.
Yeah, it's still not great, I know.
But he will never quarterback in the NFL when you're throwing balloons like that for the icing. Yeah. That one was really, really bad.
And, you know, Sammy, when I got in today, was doing the griping about overthinking it and just put Morgan out there.
That's the thing, that when you play so many of these games, you remember when he talked about early in the year, they didn't even practice it?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we barely even practice it. And then it's like, oh, they started playing more and more and they started practicing more and more. The more you practice something and the more you do something, the more likely you are to overthink it. It's like the review process where they're like, we're going to watch it 100 times.
Like me golfing, Sam.
Yeah, we're going to watch this thing 100 times. We'll spend 15 minutes, like Connor said, and we're going to change our minds on something. Yeah. He's had all these different opportunities, and it's like, let's try Kampf out there. Let's try Liljegren. How about you just put Morgan Riley, who's maybe their best or second best 3-on-3 player? He's so good 3-on-3. Him and Willie are probably their 2 best. Why is he not starting? It's an insane, and it's 1 point. It's in the regular season, but it's really bad coaching decision. It just is.
I think he has. So go ahead, Cam.
No, you go ahead.
I think he has such little faith in the defensive interest of his forwards. He does not trust that Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares will be thinking defense, that he thinks he needs someone on the ice who will.
It's 3-on-3.
Yes.
There's nobody thinks defense.
Well,
no, I'm with JB a little bit on this. If there's any explanation that I could think of on why McCabe was with Marner and Matthews, it's because I think he might have wanted Riley with Tavares and Nylander next, who had, in my opinion,
Terrible.
Oh, terrible game.
Yeah.
Terrible. They weren't solid at all. Tavares got caught, I think, after the second period on a almost 2-minute shift, and they weren't in it. And Tavares had his skates were heavy last night.
Can I just, a quick aside? I would have really liked Willie's first kind of coasty game to not come
Immediately after the
2
contract.
days after the contract. I'm not saying that's who he is, but I wouldn't have minded it
So
if it
one
wasn't
more good one.
you know.
So was Sheldon thinking,
Yeah,
I'll
fair.
have Morgan, my best guy, out with them just to cover their off night?
Well, and it could also be, if you look at the Islanders offensively, if you can get past, Horvat and Barzal, it's pretty thin after that. So maybe it's Matthews and Marner can handle the big dogs. And then, Riley's our best D. We put him out with a couple of guys who can score. Maybe we get him in the second wave.
So we've seen the pattern of 2 forwards and a D, right?
Yeah.
So if we were to go down the depth chart of the Toronto Maple Leafs, I got Morgan, my first guy.
Yeah.
I got Liljegren ahead of McCabe.
Liljegren would be, I totally agree. It's not a physical battle type of game. He can move the puck. He's mobile. That's a great point. Yeah, why isn't Lily out there?
Why is
Why don't they use Lily?
I don't know.
So where does McCabe, he lands third?
I'm pro McCabe, but
Yeah. I think I have him over Brody. Brody to me is, guys,
Playing with
just
a broomstick.
not there. I mean, he's struggling.
where are we on the legitimately worried about this guy scale? Because he's going to have to play 22 a night.
Okay, I don't want to keep beating up McCabe here, but I do want to just talk a little bit about the icing and just forcing something. So he throws a pass, a 150-foot pass into Matthews, who's got double coverage. And there was a ice level view of Mitch Marner at the blue line, giving it the beaver tap.
Yeah, that's why you pass to the other guy.
Let me just tell you something about the beaver tap, okay? No place for it in the National Hockey League. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
No place.
You can't do it.
It's
no good.
Minor league
You got to trust
stuff.
these NHL players.
And it's not
two options
and
and pick the better
in
one.
this
He didn't there,
situation.
for the record.
Go ahead.
He didn't pick the right option.
And this isn't a slight against Mitch Marner. This is a slight against Mitch Marner not having the faith in McCabe to make the obvious play. That's why he's beaver tapping, because he doesn't. It's like, I'm lost at words. This is what I have to resort to for you to make the pass that you're supposed to make.
Hey, meathead, I'm open. Hey,
that's what
over
it is.
here.
That's exactly what it is. And I don't know, guys. And I get Matthews is on fire. Okay, it is. And to me, that's just McCabe feeling, I don't know if it's the pressure to get it into the hands of Matthews or what, but there's a sense right now that everybody feels like, hey, he's hot, get him the puck. Just get him the puck. He'll go win the game somehow, some way. And it's like, no, that's not the way the game of hockey works still. Even if you are on a historic pace for 70 or 80 goals, is everybody now just, hey, give it to Matthews. He'll fix everything.
I don't know. Was Marner stopped at that point? I didn't see the angle you're talking about. No, Sam did as well. Was Marner stopped?
He had him just right up the wide open. Two guys on it's an easy pass to make. You have an easy zone entry with your best passer.
Anyways,
into the zone.
Yeah. Was he feeling the pressure of giving it to Matthews?
I think he just made a bad pass.
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at.
I think he's out there and he's just like, I don't know. I'm gonna try to make a sick pass.
The best thing you can do to get Austin Matthews a goal is to give Mitch Marner the puck.
Yeah,
so
I agree. But,
okay.
By the way, Matthews last night, those 2 goals are to come the game after he shot one through the back of the net against San Jose to then demonstrate those soft hands. Those are pretty slick finishes.
The play.
How high can he get?
The play that impressed me the most on that goal wasn't the soft hands. It was the play along the boards. I think who's 3? Pellick?
Yeah.
Pellick?
Yeah.
he ate him up.
He did.
He absolutely ate him up with the body first, and then he absolutely owned him in front of the net. To me, that's
what you want to see.
That's the Matthews I want to see.
Yeah, and right to the blue paint after. I mean, not great D by the Islanders.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic in terms of.
Then you must have loved.
That's the playoff.
Pontus turning the puck over on the second one. Hey.
Yeah, we'll get into Pontus.
Bit of a soft play by.
We'll get into
Dobson
that.
Who had the puck? He robbed him with one hand, like stopped basically. It's kind of a. But what do you think about Matthews when he scores the nice goal? There was a nice patience. Blowing the celebration makes the goal not as nice for me.
Yeah, it's too bad.
You know, like he's down to the little crouch and he falls forward into the boards. Like when they show that one on the highlight reel, it's like, crap, that looks stupid.
They'll cut it before that.
Because he was right as he did the little crouch that he does.
He hit a little rut.
He did.
What do you even care about that?
Because it just looked funny. It's like he makes him look human. You're like, this guy's a godlike hockey player. All he does is score, and he goes down to do a little celebration. He stumbles. I just thought it was funny. Anyways.
Okay, let's get Sheldon Keefe's overall views. You clearly got ours in the first 15 minutes. Let's hear what Sheldon Keefe has to say with the first Kyper's clipper.
I thought it took us a little bit, but the back half of the first period, I thought we were pretty good there. I thought 5-on-5 we're pretty good in the game. Not perfect, but pretty good, and have a pretty significant advantage in the scoring chances at 5-on-5. But special teams are rotten tonight. That power play, penalty kill, overtime. So that costs you games.
Rotten.
Okay, you know what? All of that has to do with too. Just winning draws.
Yeah.
Matthews lost a lot. I saw last night, and Kempf lost a lot of draws. Like overtime.
Yeah.
Win a draw.
Uncommon, right? Like the Leafs are 6th in the NHL in faceoff percentage.
But it just seems like,
yeah.
And even the power play, it looks good overall. Mm-hmm. But it just seems like the timing is never right on those goals.
Yeah. I mean, last night, really not good. They're, in terms of things looking good, their special teams aren't great. Like their power play rate is overall pretty good. I think they're also 6th, but they're 24th in penalty killing now, and dropping, and that's problematic in the playoffs against watching Tampa zip it around or the Cats meow.
I think, and this is where Kempf has been a lot less consistent than he was last year.
Yeah.
And I think Kemp's struggles at times have really led to the penalty kill because he's been such a important guy.
For sure. Yeah, he's not quite been as good as he was the season before.
I thought that line's been better, though. I thought they were good last night. They got a goal. McMahon scored one. I thought they looked a lot better. And we have a clip about this, but, he's got asked about how he's starting to trust his bottom six more. The ice time last night, I don't know if you noticed, Kyper, but in a tie game that goes to overtime, and including overtime, it's a quick overtime, so that helps. All 4 of the core 4 were under 20 minutes, right? Yeah. So it's like
played the most. Actually.
The bottom 6 guys are starting to come up a little bit, so that's good. Anyways, do you want to hear that clip?
Yeah, let's go clip 3 on the trust.
Camp line again tonight was really good, and it's a tough night for that group because for them and Domi, the matchups are going to be tough. They matched their 4th line against Matthews the entire night, so that's going to create some tough matchups for the rest of our lineup, when their best people are going to be going against our other lines. But I really trusted those guys today, gave them the opportunity to meet the challenge. Like I said, the camp line was really good. I also thought the Domi line gave us good minutes as well.
Yeah, and I really do think that past versions of the Toronto Maple Leafs 4th line have looked like guys who don't necessarily want to be 4th liners. And we've discussed this. Yeah. It's Joe Thornton, it's Jason Spezza. Even Wayne Simmons is a guy who was an up the lineup guy at different points in his career. You look at the 4th line of teams that have won cups recently. It's Keegan Kolazar and William Carrier, those type of guys. And, to me, the Leafs are finding a bit of this with McMahon, with Holmberg. Kampf is a bit of a luxury 4th line item, but they're getting closer to a 4th line that looks like a good one.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're less sold.
No, I'm with you with the progress that individuals have made.
Yeah.
But once you get past Matthews and Tavares, then I'm not sure you could definitively look and say, okay, these guys are the third line and this is the fourth line. There are times when you can switch them, you can move guys up and down. I don't know. Like when you talk about teams over the past that have identified them, the pecking order of their depth, and it's like, oh, I'll tell you who was on the fourth line there. Yeah. I can't say that about the Leafs.
No, you're right, because Camp will end up playing 15 minutes on the fourth line while the other guy, the wingers, will play 12.
You'd be scared to death right now to start the playoffs with the Toronto Maple Leaf forwards as is.
Max Domi's not going to be a third line center.
So you got Max on the fourth line. Well, and then you have Camp on the third line.
I have Domi on the third line to preserve a fourth line that you can use differently.
Oh, okay. So what you're telling me is we're not there yet. They have not.
Sure.
So that to me is an issue right now because you're going in the back half of the season and you've got two third lines or you got two fourth lines or you got who is going to be your all-important checking line? Who's being groomed for that? So
you're right, it's still work in progress. Going into the second half, you're talking about we're looking for this fourth line center, this person or whatever. Going into the first half of the season, you didn't have Holmberg or McMahon. You had them on the Marlies. They were gone and out of the picture.
And
now,
whose fault is that?
I mean, if you ask the team, they'll tell you it's the players. They'll tell you that Holmberg had a bad camp.
I'm going to tell you right now, it's the team's fault.
Yeah.
I told you guys, and I got laughed at because I told you Pontus Holmberg.
Listen, I
still think there's teams that just missed the boat on this guy, on how good this guy or the potential to be good for this guy is. I got laughed out of it. Oh, offer sheet. He's in the minors. Listen, his progress by putting him in the minors, you've actually delayed the work that you've put into him already. Mm. He should be ahead of where he is now in his progress. To me, this guy has shown in the last little while just snippets of how good he can be. Now, I don't know what that means moving forward.
Just 24.
But we got a clip, a Kyper's clip from Austin Matthews, regarded as one of the best players in the world. Listen to the scouting report from Austin Matthews on Holmberg.
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten pretty familiar with him since he's, kind of made the jump up and been called up a few times, like last year and stuff like that. But, I mean, he's incredible player. Like, his skill levels, it's up there with some of the best guys I've seen, honestly. So, he's got a great stick and really good anticipation. He made a nice play to knock the puck away, and I just happened to be in a good spot to get it and just go in one-on-one with the goalie.
Can he also scout for the Leafs? Because I think he's got a pretty sharp eye.
Marner said he's his favorite player in the league.
Yeah.
The day before.
They see this guy in practice. He's got some skill. He's a stocky frame. He's
incredible skill. A guy that has incredible skill is calling somebody else out as incredible skill.
One of the best guys I've seen, really.
Yeah, it is strange how much they like him.
Can you comprehend on how high of a compliment that is from a guy who's doing what he's doing right now in the game of hockey?
I guess he would just be like, if he didn't feel that way, what would he say?
Like, is he just trying to be nice to him? I don't think so.
That's what I'm asking.
No, the answer is no.
No?
You don't put your balls on the line with comments like that because he's a buddy of yours, because you hang out on the...
It is a different level of compliment.
It's huge.
And also, Marner saying that he's his favorite player in the league yesterday or the day before. Unless it's outright sarcastic and you think the guy sucks, you probably think, you probably like the guy legitimately a little bit. So they think the guy can play. So, okay, I don't know where these guys are going to be in the lineup come April 17th. I don't know if they'll be in Holmberg or McMahon, but it sure feels like you have options now. I've always had this thing with the fourth line where I want guys that are prime aged, who are like kind of 25, 6, 7, 8, somewhere in that window. Fringe guys who are happy to be on the fourth line, happy to be in the league, forecheck, big, all those things, make league minimum. Just be your worker bees and be content being there. Those guys fit that mold to me. Yeah. They're not trying to play their way into some other.
But they got some decisions eventually they're going to have to get to. Do you have to wait to March after the trade deadline, before that? But you got to start grooming these kids to know their role, their job. You don't think outside of it. This is what we need you to do.
That's with McMahon. You're not a scorer anymore.
I don't
when you
like,
can shoot it in, we love it. But
does McMahon know exactly now? I think he's starting to understand it. I see him get his nose a little dirtier lately. He's shooting the puck in the net.
Nice pass by
running
Baker last night.
Really the biggest problem I think the last little while in the game is the fact that third and fourth liners think that they're first and second liners in waiting.
Yes, totally agree. And that's the point I'm trying to make too. This is just do the thing you're here to do, and we will keep you. William Carrier has been, I don't even know if it's a Carrier. Is he a French guy?
I think it's Carrier.
Carrier has been with Vegas for like 6 years. Just plays in their fourth line.
In beast mode.
Does his role. Stay in the NHL. Keep cashing those checks. Living in Vegas. Sounds okay. Win a cup.
Okay. I know we got a few minutes before we go to break. We got to just have a goaltending conversation here, guys, because like Martin Jones was okay, but probably a little bit more of the Martin Jones that 30.
Not to be Mr. Goalie guy here, but I mean the first one's bad. But what other ones do you want him to have?
The Romanov one.
Oh, he shoots it under the bar from the hash marks.
He's outside the dots.
Can I just say something?
The hash marks on the left side.
This is a team.
Yeah.
This is a team when you let a bad goal in, they lose. Okay, they can't afford bad goals.
Yeah, but it's Martin Jones.
You're right. And no one is saying like good goalies don't let in bad goals or this is enough to whatever. It's just like he wasn't good last night.
The Leafs might be sure. Like, okay, 2 bad ones.
Yeah.
2 bad ones. You
can win one. Tip, not his fault.
Bing, bar down the other ones.
Huge test for everybody Saturday night for Martin Jones against Colorado, going against some pretty talented people and McKinnon and Makari. It'll go a long way to suggest that he can still hold the fort for a little while. But we know he's not starting against Detroit. It would be crazy
someone else
coming off the Islanders and Colorado to go to him.
I love it. You and I are on that game, and we're getting someone new in.
So,
oh my God!
For
your sake, wasn't the last game had Samsonov against Columbus?
This is where it gets really tricky for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Okay.
What is going to change in their mindset from today to after Saturday night, where you have to decide, is it going to be Samsonov or is it going to be Hildeby?
Does it matter to you if Hildeby gives up 0 or 7 goals tonight because he's playing in the American League?
Maybe that's a factor, but at the end of the day, it won't change that if you go to Samsonov, this would be, if Samsonov starts Sunday, it will be a break point. I don't know if it'll be a make point more so than a delay to the next start for Samsonov. But if you go Samsonov and he gets shelled again, he may not play again the rest of the year for the Leafs. I think if he gets shelled does not look good on Sunday, then but more importantly, then I think it sets up to really have questioned his last week, 10 days.
How so? I mean,
he hasn't played a game.
Oh, you're saying, yeah, but he was stunk before that too. So how can you say that the 10 days?
I'm saying that I would have liked him to actually play tonight for the Marlies. Get one game in.
Yeah.
Like between what he's gone through, clearing waivers and all that, he has not played a pro game.
So
I think
you can't play him.
You can play him in the Marlies.
But you can't play him on Sunday night.
Well, yeah.
There are 58 qualified goaltenders in the NHL this season. He is 57th in his numbers. It's malpractice. You're trying to win hockey games. You can't put him in there.
But
you have to go to another option. If they put him in there, it's a mistake.
No, then you have to have decided that you can't use him and you need to move on from him.
Sure.
If that's where you're at.
It is.
And if you're not there, then you have to play him.
This is not
It's one of two things. You're either over him.
It's not a 4-year deal, Borny. It's not a 4-year deal. You have him it's on a 1-year contract. He has been wretched this season. He has cost him multiple hockey games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's what
you know why he hasn't played a lot of hockey? Because 6 go in every night.
Here's how I see it. He has 2 starts to not have a bad game. If they put him in on Sunday and he's bad, or they put him in the week after he's bad.
Oh, no, he doesn't get a week after if he's bad Sunday.
No, I'm saying, but let's say he's good on Sunday, and then the next night he goes out and stinks. It's still, he's got to go. He's got to put together at least 2 good starts
maybe
for them
3
to give
or
him.
4.
Yeah.
Like,
he
needs,
has to have a run of success, or it's
to gain any trust at all moving towards March or April. He's going to have to string a few games here.
One of 2 things is happening if Samsonov plays on Sunday. He's going to give up 3 in the first 8 minutes, or he's going to shut out.
And guess what? I would have rather him give up a crappy goal or 3 on 8 shots in front of 800 people.
Yeah, that's another part of this.
17,000 at Scotiabank Arena waiting for us to do the first intermission.
And we now go live to Nick Kypreos. Kipper, your thoughts?
It's just
send him to
do you know
the
what
moon.
I'm saying?
To go in early. You're talking about a guy. You're talking about a guy with a. We're talking about his mental health and how bad it's been and how horrible of a season he's had offensively, off the ice, everything. To go in, what's that building going to do? 17,000 people raining booze down on this guy.
Yeah,
you cannot start him.
This is the ultimate rolling the dice.
It's insane. Like, it is a truly horrible move to put him in net on Sunday night.
This is the
let Hilda be let in 6. I don't care.
The expression, giving a guy the rope to hang themselves sort of thing. This is the hand him the rope and say, either go be good, you can stay in the NHL, or make the decision for us.
Yeah.
You're trying to catch Florida. You're trying to catch. You're not in a development season.
As a management team, you've got a responsibility to at least to attempt to put these guys in a position to succeed. I'm not sure what starting Samsonov Sunday at home after being off all this time without any game action.
Have you considered maybe they think he's a good goalie?
Do you poll how many players play for the Leafs? How many guys would say, "Hey, who do you want in net on Sunday?" How many are voting Hilda?
Keith Petruzzelli.
How many are voting Samson?
I just know you can't start Martin Jones this often and not expect to see more of what you saw against the Islanders. So I think we're going to see the beast.
Hilda Beast on Sunday.
Every time we say yes, we're wrong.
Unleash the beast.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm actually saying yes for the first time
You're
ever.
Ready for what, the beast?
Yes.
Yes.
You can't do Samsonov.
Yes.
But hold on. I know we have to go, but then what do you do with Samsonov if you're starting Hill to be over him? Send Samsonov back down and play him in the minors.
No, you just continue the same story. We're working on him, and he's got more time now, and that's all.
Yep.
You just keep buying time.
Keep kicking the can down the road.
Does he have compromising pictures of your family? Like, if you don't think he can play, move on. I don't know.
Yep.
Anyway.
Well, you got to know what you have. Before you make that decision, you got to know what you have.
I know he's 26.
That's where it starts. Game 1 for the Hildebeest. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Aarif Deen covers the Avalanche, will join us after the break. Of course, Off the Rails Friday means Doug MacLean at the top of the hour. Plenty of more on Real Kyper and Bourne. Don't go away. The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. It's the Real Kyper and Bourne show. As promised, Aarif Deen, who covers the Colorado Avalanche, does a great job at Mile High Sports, also has the podcast Hockey Mountain High. The Avalanche joins us now. Aarif, how are you, pal? Thanks for joining us, of course.
I'm doing well. Thanks a lot, guys.
Good. Colorado's been this team, for the last little while, much like the way we thought of San Jose all those years, is just automatic. A contender and one that can certainly be there when it's all said and done. The feeling is mutual still going into this season, maybe with a question mark in goal. Where do you see Colorado in the mix with, say, the Stanley Cup champion Vegas?
So it's a great question to ask coming off a game 2 nights ago where the Golden Knights were here in Denver. The Avs were able to shut them out 3-0. I know Vegas is kind of dealing with some injury issues, but the Avalanche this year are an interesting case because let's compare it to a season ago when you guys had me on. They had the top end talent. They were playing relying on McKinnon, Rantanen, and Makar, but the depth just wasn't there. The injuries were kind of hampering the team's depth, lower in the lineup, even their decor. Manson and Byram played like a combined 60 regular season games last year. Coincidentally, both those guys might miss the game tomorrow in Toronto, but this year just seems different. They are, like you said, there is a question mark a little bit in goal. What team doesn't have that right now for most of the contenders? They still have that Ryan Johansson second line center question mark, but they have the pieces. When you compare them to Vegas, when you compare them to other top teams, they're right there in terms of, are they perfect like the 2022 Avalanche? No, but I don't think any team is. And the reality of what the NHL looks like right now, they don't need to be that team. They are a little bit flawed like other contenders, but they are up there with the top.
Give us an assessment of their new additions this season. Jonathan Drouin was a big name, added. Obviously, Ryan Johansson that you mentioned, big name. Even Colton from Tampa Bay, Kyper. Tell us about the new guys and how they have fared as Avalanche players.
So Ross Colton, I'll start with him. Him and Miles Wood on the third line are giving you pretty much exactly what you wanted from them. Somewhere around that 28 to 40 point range. Playing hard-nosed, high-energy hockey with Logan O'Connor, who is always a fun guy to play with. And then going up the lineup from there, they had Tomas Tatar. That lasted about a month and a half, 2 months, and then he was off to Seattle. Starting with Jonathan Drouin, he started the season really slow. It kind of felt like it wasn't going to work. The first 10 games, he had 1 assist, and it was literally the secondary assist on the first goal of the season, and then nothing after that. He was healthy scratched a couple times, but then something clicked. And now Jonathan Drouin, he's playing games where he's playing 23, 24 minutes a night.
Incredible.
He's back on that. Yeah, he's been playing well. It's actually quite impressive. He's on that top line riding shotgun with McKinnon and Rantanen. It's allowing them to play Nichushkin on the second line. He's on that top power play unit. If you guys saw the highlights of the power play that they had against the Vegas Golden Knights, just like chef's kiss puck movement, and Jonathan Drouin is a part of that. And now he's got 13 points in his last 13 games, and he's playing well. He's looking like a 40, 50 point guy. There are people in my mentions asking me when the Avalanche are going to re-sign this guy and give him a long-term deal because the fit is there. So it's been a complete 180 on Jonathan Drouin, I would say, since maybe early December until now. Ryan Johansson is the bigger question mark. I know, Kyper, you questioned the acquisition when you guys had me in the summer, and it's just not working. And I don't think there's anything there about Johansson being a careless player or not necessarily putting in the work. It's just the foot speed that he has compared to how this team plays is just not there. There are games where he's playing 10 or 11 minutes. There are games where he has the fewest ice time heading into the third period of all forwards not named Curtis McDermott. It's just not working despite him having, I think, 11 goals now in less than a half a season.
We're talking to Aarif Deen, who covers the Colorado Avalanche for Mile High Sports. Also has a podcast, Hockey Mountain High, covering the same Avalanche as they get set to take on the Toronto Maple Leafs, a game that you can see on Hockey Night in Canada. So lots of talk, Aarif, on Gabe Landeskog skating again. And the last I had heard that this wasn't a typical injury that you just know for sure he's going to be coming back. Where is his status as far as you're concerned? And is this progressing to the point where people are optimistic he will play again? Or is this still let's wait and see situation?
It's absolutely still wait and see. It's far too early to tell. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about the knee cartilage transplant on his right knee. It's the same injury that and surgery and procedure that Lonzo Ball had in the NBA, and Lonzo hasn't played since 2022 as well. So where we're basically at with Gabe Landeskog is he literally took the ice yesterday. So the Avalanche took off on their flight this morning to Toronto. Yesterday morning, they had an optional practice, which usually most of media takes the option. I was there, and the first person on the ice was Gabe Landeskog, and it was his first time on the ice since May 11th when he had that procedure done of 2023. Basically, the news we got from Jared Bednar is, it's been kind of leading up to this. He's been telling us in a lot of post games and morning skates that Gabe is getting closer to finally taking the ice. And what he said yesterday was, this is the next step in his progress. Has he suffered any setbacks? No. Is he at a point now where you can clearly say when he's going to come back or what the next step is? Also, no. He's kind of the progress is going as it should up to this point. The reality is there could be a setback at any point, and I believe it was in the summer. Chris McFarland told us, the general manager, that as soon as he suffers a setback, it's back to square one. So they're kind of just playing it case by case. I did see Chris McFarland did not tell us this, but I did see he spoke with Frank Saravalli and told him that the initial prognosis that they got for Landeskog coming out of the surgery was 12 to 16 months. So if you're talking 12 months, you're looking at that date I just gave you, May 11th, 2023. So May 11th, 2024. So you're talking second round of the playoffs, maybe game 4, 5, or 6 of the second round if the Avalanche get there. You get to 13 months, you get to 14 months, well, you're already into July. So the idea of him coming back this year, I would say, is kind of, it's more hope than anything, but I don't see it. I think, to me, the best case scenario is to have a healthy and ready Gabe Landeskog for training camp in September. But with hockey players, it's never say never. With athletes, it's never say never. With surgeries that are kind of new and unfamiliar, think back to Jack Eichel last year or 2 years ago. There's always a groundbreaking person. So could we see Gabe in May? Maybe. But at this point, there's no guarantee he's ready in May. And quite frankly, there's no guarantee his career is going to be what it was. I think Mark Mathot has spoken publicly. He actually tweeted me and spoke with me a little bit yesterday about how when he came back from the surgery, he did get his opportunity to play a couple games, but then in his recovery, the knee swells up from the same exact procedure by the same exact doctor. And then he's just unable to play for 1 or 2 weeks, and then, ultimately ended his career. So it's all still just a giant question mark. And it is absolutely heartbreaking for that guy. I'm so glad he got to have that cup in 2022, but he's dying to get back out there.
Well, that is a fascinating storyline to watch. Obviously, such a big part of the Colorado Avalanche. Watching the Avs from afar this season and having expectations on them to be very good, as they have been, it has been unusual to see the odd little bit of drama. We heard Rantanen talk a little bit about Lekkonen's dad at one point, and then we saw Devin Taves talk a bit about guys in this room who think they're playing well. They don't have a clue. Is there any fire to the smoke that we're hearing out of that locker room?
So it seems to be all good and no bad. And I was actually very fascinated with kind of how that all unraveled, the Rantanen thing, and then Devon Taves. It may have been like a week and a half later. It was very quickly after the Lekkonen and Rantanen thing. Obviously, Ismo Lekkonen, the father. But ultimately, the vibe that we get out of the room is, this is a locker room that holds itself to a high standards. The leader holds them to a high standards. Everybody knows it's kind of, it runs through the lead by example of Nathan MacKinnon in terms of on ice and off ice, and how he takes care of his body and himself, and how he's there at every optional practice skating regardless. But in the room, it just seems like anything that spills out are things that were already discussed internally, where you're not really catching any teammates by surprise. And that was one thing that I specified with Coach Jared Bednar back after the Devon Taves comments, when they came back from that road trip that they were on where he said them. I basically asked him, because Devon was very precise. It's guys that, we have 20 guys out there, 14 of them, I think he said, that are playing the system. And there's a few other guys that are just kind of doing their own thing, and you never really know what you're going to get. And the question I had for Bednar was, when the other teammates hear this, is there anybody that's hearing it that's kind of questioning, is he talking about me, or do the guys know? And he made it pretty clear that the guys that Devon is singling out know. And the way that he did it wasn't in like a very, he wasn't attacking anybody. It was kind of very calm and cool. It was very fascinating. But the way that he did it just kind of made it seem like it wasn't going to cause a stir. The Rantanen and Lekkonen thing was the one that just caught us all by surprise.
Yeah, strange.
Completely out of nowhere. It was so out of the blue. Mikko, after he spoke, I was in a scrum with media with Nathan MacKinnon after Rantanen had spoke, and he had left, and then he came back in with the Avalanche's PR, and he was kind of asking, where is the reporter that had the camera? Where is the reporter? And then, it was a gentleman that works at DNVR, and he looked at him and said, "You recorded when I said what I said about the Finnish father." And he said, "Yeah." And like the kid was kind of taken aback. It's his first year in the media room, and he was like, "Yeah, do you want me to not use it?" He goes, "No, clip it, post it. I want it everywhere. I want it posted everywhere."
Yes.
And he walked out of the room, and we all kind of were walking toward the media lounge where Jared Bednar speaks, and we're like, "What in the world is going on?" And then you show up the next morning, and Rantanen's his same jolly self. As if nothing happened. So he wanted that out there. It sounds like it was the kind of drama that like it meant something to him locally in Finland because he cares about his reputation there.
Yeah.
But as in terms of him and Lehkonen, I mean, I see him and Lehkonen walking out of the rink all the time. Arturi hasn't played since those comments were made. He had a neck injury back in November and has been out since. He is getting closer. He is in Toronto with the team. He might play on the back end of this road trip. So definitely not tomorrow. But I've seen them walking together. I've seen them chatting after games. So I don't think there's anything there between Arturi and Mikko other than like a fun, like, hey, tell your dad to calm it down kind of thing. So it was just completely out of the blue.
Aarif, we only got about 30 seconds to go here. So, but just real quick here, okay? And it's with Mikko Rantanen, who's one of the best wingers in the game today, who happens to need a new contract. Do you suppose he noticed a certain winger here in Toronto who signed for $92 million?
Yep.
Anybody talking about him out
question. There? Yep. I was waiting for that question. What's his name? Nylander got 11.5. Mikko Rantanen got 12.6. Do the math, calculate it, average it out. Mikko Rantanen will be somewhere in the middle. That's going to be the prediction that I have. I don't think he will go above Nathan MacKinnon. Cale Makar is a different scenario because he's a year later. We'll see where Cale Makar lands. I don't know if Mikko Rantanen is going to hit 12.6. I also think he will get more than William Nylander.
Aarif, great stuff, buddy. Thanks for doing this.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man.
Appreciate it.
Enjoy the game Saturday night.
Fun team.
Aarif Deen from Mile High Sports.
Jonathan Drouin's got to be comeback story of the year.
Yes.
It's no one's talking about it. It's kind of jumped out to me with him mentioning that. Guy's got 22 points in 40 games this year. 9 goals, 13 assists. Like, he was written off.
Can I give you his TOI by month? In November, 1315. December, 1343. In January, 1736. This month, 2333 through 5 games. He played 28 minutes the other night.
Yeah, he's him and McKinnon.
Must be Alan Walsh, right? Best agent out there, man. He's promoting him, and look, he's playing 24 minutes now.
And to be honest, like the connection with McKinnon from Halifax, like they were together. They were on one of the best junior teams of all time. Probably a guy that can tell him what to do, right? Anyways, got a quick All-Star game read here for you guys. From February 1st to the 3rd, All-Stars are back in Toronto for the NHL All-Star Weekend. We'll be giving away tickets to the different events in episodes today until January 26th. Today, we have tickets for the NHL All-Star Thursday, which includes a PWHL 3-on-3 showcase, the NHL All-Star Player Draft, and a tribute to the 1967 Leafs. To enter for a chance to win, text today's code word PWHL to 59590, and we have another code word in Monday's episode, so be sure to tune in. That's PWHL for the code word.
I'm telling you right now, the hottest ticket is going to be the skills competition. I hear they want all the big boys in it. The most talented players. Connor,
McKinnon.
Austin, McKinnon. You keep going. They're chasing $1 million.
Well, I mean, keep listening to our show because we're going to be giving away tickets eventually.
And
so
I
keep
know
listening.
they've made hundreds of millions of dollars, but it's that old theory. If I'm there, I might as well win it.
100%. Can't wait.
All right, Aarif Deen, thank you very much for your contribution as we get set for the Toronto Maple Leafs against the Colorado Avalanche. They're led by the Nate Dogg. The intensity on this guy is off the charts, by the way.
Yeah, it's weird.
Love him. He's not weird.
In a good way.
Oh, in a very good way.
Yes.
So looking forward to that. All right, plenty more still to come on the Real Kyper and Bourne as we go national, led by Doug MacLean when we come back after the break. Plenty to have some fun with. Welcome back into the national edition of the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. We are live on Sportsnet, Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour, Real Kyper and Bourne, brought to you by Bet365. Guys, I don't know how you can't start the show without mentioning the Vancouver Canucks and Petey. 4 points last night, 2-2. Vancouver Canucks edge the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's got 12 points in his last 4 games, and he is absolutely on fuego on the road.
Yeah, OT winner. I mean, he's a special player. It's amazing how the discussions would be in Toronto if this guy were kicking around.
Let's drive up the price.
No. We don't have to drive up.
Yeah, we do.
No, we don't have to do it.
Everywhere else with these guys.
Come on.
Drive it up, baby.
His price. He's driving it. He doesn't need our help. He's doing it all by himself, or maybe Doug MacLean might help him as well, because if he's not the MVP right now.
He's in the conversation.
Come on.
I'd say. It's been pretty wonderful.
Absolutely in the conversation.
He's close. He's definitely a finalist. If you ask me, it's one of them.
Yeah. I mean 57 points in 42 games right now.
Which means he's on pace for.
I'm just doing that.
I got into a little on pace problem last night during Leafs talk, so it's okay.
Before we broke out of the first hour, we were talking about
111.
Rantanen and his situation where he gets to negotiate just like Pettersson, July 1st. And we talked to Aarif Deen, who covers the Colorado Avalanche, and he threw out 12-6 like it was, or 12-5 like it was nothing for Rantanen. I mean, I don't know, you might start the conversation. It might go north of that.
Is there a chance it's as much as Matthews?
It's a good question.
PD is an RFA, which I don't know if that changes.
No, it doesn't change a thing. You have to negotiate July 1st like he's UFA. Doesn't matter, because now you run the risk of him going further down the road. Does the Vancouver Canucks, are they as confident as the Toronto Maple Leafs that, hey, we don't have to get it done by July 1st, but we will get it done then in January or February?
I don't know if they're confident in that. I think it's an uncomfortable thing. Like, talking to Friedge in the past, he has said that as soon as PD wants to talk, they'll talk. So I don't know where they would be, the Canucks, in terms of how they feel comfort-wise.
It's just one of those situations where it's very eerily similar to the Willie situation here, where it's like you probably didn't want to have to pay him a whole lot, but what, are you going to lose him?
Yeah.
You're just going to have to pay him what he wants. That's what happened with Willie. I mean, he's having the best season he's ever had. He's in a contract here. I guess the RFA thing, but you said it doesn't matter that much.
Okay.
You just got to pay him. Trade him?
If by chance Willie Nylander doesn't resign and he walks, it's still not a catastrophe in Toronto with Matthews and Marner.
Okay.
Where if this guy walks in 16 months, 18 months, where is it for Vancouver?
Besser and Miller don't do it for you in the same way?
No. This guy is irreplaceable.
Yeah, I mean, he's a two-way force on top of being, the offensive dynamo, on top of getting better all the time, filling out that sort of lean frame. He's all over people now.
All right, is Doug ready, or?
I texted him to come on.
Where's he been?
I don't know.
No, you know what? I was just thinking, watching you guys, PD and Willie and Rants, like, seriously. I mean, I'm not up on the nicknames like you guys are, so, I need it. But you know what I was thinking, watching you guys there? You look really good, and I feel I'm bleached out down here in Florida, and I need Hillary here to do some makeup or something.
You're
not
2 for 2.
paying me, so can you at least get me a makeup artist that can bleach me out a little bit here?
For those of you that cannot see Doug on a Zoom, he's got another terrific shirt on. You are in your all Florida retirement mode right now.
Well, I'm going. I had to dress business casual because I'm going out to a country club for dinner tonight, and I had to look good. But listen, Petey, is that the guy in Vancouver?
That's right.
The one thing you didn't mention when you're talking about Petey and what he's doing is what he's doing for Besser and what he's doing for Miller. And by the way, he have them in first place in the entire NHL, and right now probably the number one team. Imagine Vancouver and Winnipeg 1-2 in the NHL.
Oh no,
seriously.
Is there anyone that wouldn't pay right now big bucks to see that best of 7?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, and playing hard. So Petey's got them there. Did you see the movie made last night? The inside the blue line with the hold up and then
the little cutback thing. Yeah,
unbelievable little play. But you know what? I said it to Nick a couple of years ago when they were in their Stanley Cup run with Travis Green coach, and I said, he reminds me of Datsuk with his hockey sense. This guy is over the top with hockey sense, hands, skill. And then he had a drop off last year when they were in turmoil. You know, it's funny how you redo your blue line. Vancouver redid their blue line, boys, basically. Quinn's there, but they really redid the back end. And some pretty good pickups. Demko comes back, solid goaltending. All of a sudden, they're the best team in the league. And coaching change.
What does the Vancouver Canucks do? Like, how do you negotiate now apples to apples? Like, take the Willie Nylander against Pasternak. That seemed to have been the comparison all this time. But, you know, regardless of whether you think one's better than the other or one's tougher than the other or one's smarter than the other, what happens if Pettersson goes to the Vancouver Canucks and say, hey, listen, I want to be the highest paid guy in the league. Buy you $1. What do they do?
Okay, I'm telling you, it's not a Nylander comparison. So put Willie aside right now. It's not even close to a Nylander. It's a Matthews comparison. He's a centerman, the number one centerman. He's playing great hockey. He's got a chance to be a superstar. Vancouver, and is he as good as Matthews? I don't want to get into that because I love what Matthews is doing and how well he's played since he's come into the league. I don't want to get into that, but he's that important to the Vancouver Canucks, every bit as important as Matthews is the Leafs. Vancouver Canucks cannot lose two players, boys. They can't lose Quinn and they can't lose Petey, and they better not lose them. So you know what you do? There's no negotiation in this. It's like, how hard are we going to get hammered here?
Oh my gosh!
On this deal. How hard are we going to get hammered? And Pat Brisson is drooling over this one.
Oh, Jimmy Rutherford or Brendan Shanahan. They're presidents. Ultimately, they're like bank tellers now being held up. All these players have to do is just go in there and say, "Put the money in the bag." And don't try any funny stuff. That's it. That's the negotiation.
I love how we talk about and they go on about the negotiations. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. I did enough of them with guys I had that were no damn good, and I know how tough they were. You know, when you're negotiating a contract for the best players on your team, whether it was a Nash I was doing or whatever, that was small time compared to this guy who's a franchise player. This guy and Quinn and the Quinn in New Jersey when he comes due. Those guys are franchise players. And you, Vancouver, like, seriously, boys, it's just get it done. Jimmy, tell Alain or whatever his name is there to get it done.
So looking at our Canadian teams here, obviously the Canucks red hot, Winnipeg red hot. The Oilers have won 9 in a row. You know, have we gone in like a month or two from this team's going to miss playoffs and blow it all up and everyone's going to leave to their, like, the cup favorites in Canada? Maybe not in Canada.
You know what? It really pisses me off that you guys don't run the clip of me saying 6 weeks ago they were going to make the playoffs. And don't worry about it. Just relax. It wasn't going to happen. They were coming on and they win 9 in a row. I watched their last 2 games. Like, Nick, I've seen you deke in your noon hour league, and you're a pretty good deker. You know, when you used to deke Millard, you know, when you and Millard had put the goalie pads on and make on he was a goalie, and you'd deke him, you look pretty good. What about McDavid's dekes on breakaway?
Never seen anything. No,
I've never seen anything even remotely close to that. And I watch it the last couple of games and I'm thinking, oh man, is he unbelievable. But you know what? I fell asleep the other night when they did the 15-minute offside checkup. I think Coley Campbell and his group fell asleep too in the Toronto office because it took them 15 minutes to decide on that offside. But anyway, look, they're not ready to compete. Edmonton. They still have to. They need a couple of additions there, boys. They need a number 3 centerman, big time, and I think they need a little. Well, obviously they need a backup goaltender. Although the kid last night in Detroit battled hard, so they're not ready to contend, but they're close. And with McDavid and Draisaitl and Kane and company, Hopkins, Hyman. What a story Hyman's become. So they're right there. I'd love to see a series between them, Edmonton, Vancouver, Toronto. Would be great to see.
We'd like to go to the tape where you said the Oilers were going to make the playoffs 6 weeks ago, but the moment your segment is over, we burn it.
Well, then I was just thinking, I do so many of these damn shows that maybe it was on another show. Maybe it was on the 2 Mutts podcast in Edmonton or somewhere that I did that. But no, I did. I was quite confident they were going to be all right.
Okay.
But that's okay. You don't need to run it. I'm not looking for a job,
No, we know that. We got to ask you about Corey.
Hello. Dave Poulin got a job. Jacques Martin got a job. Like, seriously. Like, what the
How
hell
can
is
you not
going
get
on?
a job?
Jeez. And Berkey, next thing he'll get another president's job, not a women's league, but he'll leave the women's league and get another president's job. Anyway, okay.
I gotta ask you about Corey Perry and whether or not there's concerns about, is it easier for him to go to a quieter market than, say, a Canadian market?
Well, it's interesting. Somebody sent me a note today. Would Edmonton look at him? And I'm thinking, well, I mean, I think Edmonton really are focused on a backup goalie, and I don't know what Kenny's focused on. I'm just thinking this, and I'm thinking, a really bona fide number 3 checking centerman, a defensive type centerman would really fit in well there and let the kids come along. But you know what? I think he, he can go and help somebody. And what is going on? Like, this is what, taking 2 months to sort this out. This is like the offside ruling. Like, seriously.
I don't think there's anything to sort out. I think there's just a quiet period, and then he comes back and plays somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. But, the contract was going to be terminated. I mean, anyway. We'll see. I hope he comes back. I don't know what happened. I don't know the details. I'd like to see a guy finishing a great career that he had on a high note.
Do you think
he can help teams in the playoffs?
Do you think everybody, including on the internet, would feel like you, or would they just be digging, like still trying to find out answers, like most of them try and speculate?
Yeah, I've never been an insider, so I don't pay much attention to that stuff. I like to watch the games and see who wins and loses, and leave the rest of that stuff to you and Elliot.
No, not me.
Bourne there, like you insiders. I wish Cox was still there doing it, then I could really have some fun. But anyway, it's fun watching all you guys it's almost like watching the business channel, CNBC, when the market's up and when the market's down. And I listen to these geniuses, and I'm thinking, they're like the hockey guys. They haven't got a clue what's going on. They just talk.
Doug's just lighting $100 cigars with his American money, watching us go. Eh?
Yeah, getting in his Porsche.
Yeah. Oh, and Max gone. Is it Doug? Okay, hold on. Go back. Go back to Doug. Come back to Doug.
I wish you were here.
Those look beautiful. Look at that beautiful case he's got. He's doing all right.
But he's using a Bic lighter. He's not using the $100 bills.
Striking a match.
With his Bic lighter, he's lighting them up.
So, Mac, yesterday we had a conversation with Terrian out of Philly. They're discussing all Cutter Gauthier, John Tortorella, sources. Give us your latest, your vibe, your feeling, your thoughts on Cutter Gauthier for Jamie Drysdale.
Well, I said it to Nick the other day, and I sort of chuckle. I go back in the old days, but I'll never forget Blake Wheeler, 5th overall pick of the Arizona Coyotes, would not sign. I mean, people got fired when they drafted Blake Wheeler in Arizona. People were so upset about that pick, where most people had him in the 2nd round, but they took this big kid. All of a sudden he goes to Green Bay in the USHL, becomes a 6'5" winger, goes to the University of Minnesota, becomes a star. and all of a sudden he won't sign. He won't sign with Arizona. Boston, get him done. So the kid is exercising his rights. That's what he's doing. And we used to worry about that. We used to worry about when you draft a kid and he goes to college, you've got to be 100% aware of his rights and what he can do if he wants to sit out. Or hold out, wait out till he graduates. It's so, you know what, I was a little disappointed in Philly's reaction. I got to tell you, I really was. You know, you lost the player, you made a good trade, suck it up and move on. But to say he wouldn't talk to me, and I mean,
didn't they need to protect themselves as new guys in those roles a little bit and explain why they just traded a guy that everyone loves?
Well, because he wouldn't sign with them, I guess. And, you know, he wouldn't even talk to them. So what went awry? What happened there? When you draft a kid, you spend so much time. They've got 100 player development guys running all over the country talking to these players. They got 100 assistants. Like, what do you mean nobody will talk to them? Like, I didn't.
Mac,
I was confused by it.
The feeling is they had enough talks where it was abundantly clear he did not want to sign there. So what's left? Even if he doesn't want to tell you, he doesn't want to tell you.
What's left is you can make them wait. That's all that's left.
Yes.
And risk losing them for nothing.
But that's 2.5 years from now.
That's right. So you say, okay, that's fine. You're not going to sign with us. We'll wait a year. We'll wait a year and see where we are. But you're taking a big risk of losing a guy for nothing, or at least you're up against a timeline on a deal. I don't know if Drysdale's any good. I know people were talking about him this summer when he was a free agent. Looked like he was going to be a really good player when he was drafted. I don't know what he's going to be now. But when you draft kids and they go to college, it's all bets are off, boys. That's just the way it is. And that's the CBA. And you know it inside out as a GM. And your cap guys know it inside out. That's all you can do. But just to, you know, like, I don't know him from a hole in the wall. Like, I mean, come on. Seriously.
Bit much.
Yeah, bit much. Okay, I cannot leave your segment without asking you about the team that you ruined, Columbus Blue Jackets. Word is that their goaltender, Merzlikins, has confirmed he wants to be traded. So what do you make of Elvis wanting to leave the building?
Well, it's funny. And, you know, it's like when they asked Mark Crawford for a scouting report on him when he was playing in Europe and he was a superstar. And there he said, his name's Elvis. Do I have to tell you anything more? That pretty well sums up, you know, Elvis has been, you know, he's been a hot shot. The coach says he doesn't want to play him because management want to see the other guy. Then management say it's a coaching decision. So what's really going on? So, and then he says, well, I'm not going to be a third goaltender, and I'm not going to get enough practice time as a third goaltender, and I'm a number one goalie. Well, look, he's been good at times. And he's been bad at times. But I'll tell you what happened. If you watch the Washington game a week to 10 days ago, remember what happened when he made the faux pas at the end of the game? And that was the start of it. And Washington players all laughed at him, and they lost the game. And then I haven't seen hide nor hair of him then. I don't know him from a hole in the wall now. You know, so what something happened after that game. They blamed him for the loss against Washington. Remember that the battle at the net, and he took the penalty and they scored in the power play in overtime. Hasn't been the same since. So they're tired of him. And, you know, we'll see what happens. And it looks like he might be tired of them. I hate hearing guys. And you know what I love about him? He said, I won't sell my house. I love Columbus. I'm going to keep my house. Who cares if you keep your house? Seriously.
Nobody cares. That's funny. So should the Leafs trade for Elvis?
Remember when I got fired in Columbus, I'm on my way to the airport to go somewhere. And Jill phones me and said, somebody just phoned, wants to buy our house like 5 minutes after I got fired. I didn't say, well, I'm going to keep my house because I really love it here.
Yeah. So what do the Leafs do with their goalie? Should they trade for Elvis? Should they start Hildeby? Should they start Samsonov? What are they going to do?
Trade for Elvis? You're not serious. Serious.
I don't know.
They got
I'm
enough,
asking you.
You know what? What do they do for the goal? Well, Murray's coming back, I heard.
Yeah, that's what Kip tells me.
They
Don't
should
rule
trade
him out.
Pittsburgh. They get a first-round pick for him from Pittsburgh, maybe.
Hold on. Dubas send something back.
There's a real problem here in goal. They've got the kid's going to come back and that'll solve their problems. He's going to be well rested, and that's going to solve their problems. So how far away is he? Is he still a couple of weeks away? What's the word on him?
Samsonov, the kid?
No,
Wool. Oh, yeah, he's still a ways away, right?
I don't know.
The
They think he could maybe go on a road trip, the Western road trip, but I don't think it's imminent that he's going to be playing still anytime soon. But we'll have to wait and see.
But they don't need him.
No.
You know, if he's back a month before the playoffs, 6 weeks before the playoffs, that's all they need, and get him in the right frame of mind. I mean, this kid could be really, really important. He looked so good before he got hurt, and I think with him. So who's going to be the backup? Jones, Samsonov? I don't really care who's going to be the backup, because they're not going to win with the backup. The only chance they have to win is if he comes back and he's as good as when he left, unless they change their blue line a little bit. I read Bourne's comments today about how much he loves watching Giordano, and I'm thinking, I don't like watching him as much as Bourne does. I like watching him 5 years ago as much, but not right now. And you know, I've said it since day one. Look, you love Giordano. You love what he brings to the table. You love his career. He's quality through and through. But I watched him last year in the playoffs, boys. He was tired. He was hurting. So
hopefully a little fresher going into the playoffs.
Hopefully he's a little fresher, and that's really going to be critical to make sure he is.
Okay, last one for me in Ottawa. Pinto's back skating. He's going to play against the Flyers, I believe, on the 21st. Just your thoughts on him changing at all the dynamic of Ottawa in any way, shape, or form. But overall, like, how shocking are you that Ottawa never even scratched the surface on being somewhat of a playoff team?
I'm shocked. I really am. I really thought they were going to take a major step, and now here's your real dilemma in Ottawa. And we talked about it. You know, you guys asked me about Shabbat, Chikrin, or at least I mentioned those names. But here's their problem. Sanderson is by far their best defenseman. Mm-hmm. He's blowing by these guys. He is blowing by them. And now what do you do? With the money he's making, the money Shabbat and Chikrin are making, how do you restructure, rebuild, and fix this team? I know they're out looking for defensemen right now to fill a gap in the back end, but it shocked me. It shocked me how bad that group has become. I thought Jock could go in and help them a little bit. Are they worse? Or what? They're no better. That's for damn sure. And their goaltending has been so abysmal. I love Garriock's tweets during the game. I wish a goalie would make a save. But anyway, I'm shocked by it. I thought they would contend. I thought they would contend for a playoff spot. And it's been a disaster. And you know what? I feel bad for them. I mean, I feel bad for them because we looked at the Bathersons and the Norrises and the Kachuks and these kids as being really high-end type of players. And none of them, as Stutzel, he hasn't even been great. And he's a hell of a player. So I'm just really disappointed in Ottawa. I really am.
You know, if I can get you to come out of your shell a little bit, I think you got a real future in broadcasting.
Well, you know what? I was watching Jimmy Johnson on the show the other day. Jimmy's on the NFL Fox broadcast, and I looked up. He's 80. Like he's 80.
There you go.
Harry Sinden just stepped down from sports management worldwide as a professor. I've just taken his job in that little gig, and Harry stepped down at 91. So
what you're telling me is the Real Kyper and Bourne show found you work.
The book found me work. I mean, they're going to have that as a textbook for the show.
Oh my God. We came so close to not mentioning the book.
All right, who at
By
Sportsnet
the
continues
way-
to put it up? We've sold enough books.
That's either Jen or Hillary, because they were my two, or Deb Berman. They were my three favorite people there. So it's one of the three putting it up. But listen, you know what? I'm going to be in Toronto next week. I got to fly up on Tuesday for a book signing, and I'm doing a speech. Or what do you call it? What do you call those, Nick?
Just an appearance.
An appearance. You call it a cash cow. I call it an appearance. I phoned my agent last week and said, "What should I charge for this book signing appearance?" And Nick says, "Well, this is what I'd charge." I come in a little lighter, and I got the deal done.
Well, let us know where you're going to be, and we'll go the other way.
Yeah, they haven't notified me yet which Courtyard Marriott I'm staying at.
Get him in studio.
All right, Doug, you didn't disappoint us, Mac. Put it right back in the ditch for about 15 minutes. Thanks for doing this, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Former NHL president, GM, head coach, and the author of Draft Day, How Teams Pick Winners or Get Left Behind, Doug MacLean.
The one and only. Are we going to get him in studio? Will he catch fire if he walks on
I don't
Sportsnet
know.
property? What happened?
Oh, my God.
The alarm. Code red.
I can't even tell you the number of people that would find him and give him a big hug.
Oh.
Yeah. Hugs for sure.
All right.
From everyone.
Game time?
Let her rip, Sammy.
It's game time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Couple interesting ones here. Looking at the future market, as you like to make fun of me for, but looking at the futures.
Mm-hmm.
The injury to Connor Bedard has really made the Calder Trophy thing more interesting now.
For sure.
Because he's down to a minus 180 favorite, and he's been minus basically 500 all year. Been a huge favorite.
Right.
Have Hughes is coming in right behind him at plus 400. Brock Faber at 6-1, and Fantilli 8-1. Then it jumps up to Marco Rossi. The question I have off of that, like, is that, is injury, was he having a good enough year? Because 6 to 8 weeks is a really long time to miss. Feels like he can't
I don't
win
think
it.
he pulled away far enough to say that you'd give it to someone who played more games. So the Faber one is interesting to me. Is his ice time still 20 minutes plus? Probably.
Who's that?
Brock Faber in Minnesota. He's been really good for them, which would make that a tempting bet for me.
What about Luke Hughes? What's his minutes at?
Luke Hughes is playing a ton.
Yeah.
So
and
Faber's playing 24-41 on average.
Wow.
Per night. 20 points.
It just seems that we're in this era where you just gotta have numbers and light it up on the score sheet. And I don't know. I think if one of those guys as a defenseman can prove top 4 status in their rookie year and their team's having some success, absolutely you got to look at these guys.
How many points does Faber have?
20.
Yeah, so Luke Hughes is at 23 in 39 games played, 7 goals, 16 assists. So they're both having really good years. So
Do you have his TOI per chance?
yeah, I do. I do have it. It is just over 20 per game.
That's still very, very good.
20.6.
20.6, yeah.
As a rookie
25.
coming out of
I
college.
think 25.
God, that family's so rich.
Yeah. Huge
So
family.
rich. Oh, my
Doing
God.
Okay.
And
Just they all this summer, they're just coming in. If I'm the dad, just coming in the living room and just dump it in the middle of the floor.
Yeah. Is there
I'm
a
taking-
fourth, is there a cast off sibling
Yeah.
somewhere that's
and we mentioned the Elias Pettersson for as a finalist for the Hart.
Yeah.
According to our beloved Bet365, he's not even close.
No.
So McDavid, McKinnon, Kucherov, Pasternak, Austin Matthews, Luke
Yeah,
Hughes, Jack Hughes,
He's in the conversation.
Arteri Panarin, Quinn Hughes
Yeah,
are all ahead of him. He's
yeah,
at 28-1.
He's with a handful of guys.
Well, then a good place to find value.
28-1
Now listen,
for a guy that we think's having one of the best years in the league.
I don't know who brought up the conversation between Pettersson and Matthews. And Matthews is regarded now as one of the best goal scorers in the history of the game.
No question.
Okay? In the history of the game. But he can't pass like Pettersson. He doesn't see the ice like Pettersson. This guy's a pure shooter. Okay? So, I don't know. Where do you value? Where do you put your value? What do you mean?
Well, I'm asking you. I mean,
Matthews is an average passer.
Yeah.
Okay?
But if you are starting a team tomorrow, who are you taking? Matthews 10 times out of 10.
Well, yeah, because there's that hyped up 70-goal scorer. That's the ultimate sales job, is to put the puck in the net.
Yeah,
that's the most marketable
job.
That's the point of the game.
It's the most marketable sales job out there, is the guy that puts it in the net.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not necessarily the game, right? And as a distributor of the puck, as a guy that can see the ice better, who can't shoot the puck in the net as often as Matthews, Petey's right up there.
For sure.
Heard it here first.
He's definitely up there, but he's not as good, in my opinion.
No, I'm with you there. I don't think so either. But yes.
And the last thing I had, quick little same game parlay, only 2 games in action tonight. Nashville in Dallas. Give me a little revenge parlay with Matt Duchene to score. And
Duchene's been very good this
and the
year,
Dallas Stars to win in regulation is plus 360. So there you go.
Right.
There's a little something for you. And that was Game Time. Presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Okay. Take a break right here.
Text.
We got
Yes, 590, 590.
News and notes. We didn't even discuss Nick Foligno, who got a brand new contract extension. So we'll tell you all about that after the break. And as Sammy had said, we're going to go through some tweets. We want to hear from you. So make sure you text us at 590, 590. Is that right?
You got it.
Wow. I'm really, really good at that. So don't go away. Back out. All right, we're down the stretch this week on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. We take some news and notes in and your texts. Word out of Chicago, Nick Foligno has signed a 2-year, $9 million deal. Now, can you guys confirm for me that he asked for 6 and they insisted he took 9? Is that what happened here?
Turn your mic on.
Who are you bidding against at that number?
Like, I get it.
Was someone else going to give him 8?
He's had a great career. He continues to have some good contributions. But this is just finding the right team at the right time. And listen, he brings a ton of credibility. For sure he does. But this is just a team that needs to get to the floor, I would imagine. Is
that what this is about? Do you know who their highest earning player on their cap friendly pages for forwards, among forwards?
Taylor Hall.
He's on the IR, so he's not currently playing. It's Jason Dickinson making 2.6, and then Kurashev at 2.2.
Yeah,
that's their top guys.
Which means that
that's David Kamp's money.
They need Nick taking 4.5 next year.
God, he fell into a great situation.
They couldn't have found other places to spend the money in free agency. I think Foligno's an awesome ambassador for the game and a great player and yada yada. Even Nick Foligno doesn't think he's worth 4.5 a year, does he?
This is where the system is really screwed up, where guys are just fighting tooth and nail for every dollar. And one of the rare teams in the league has to overspend just to make the floor in the salary cap. It's really strange.
Well, you know what? They have Tyler Johnson's $5 million coming off the cap at the end of this season, as well as Anthony Beauvillier's 4.1. So there's $9.1 million they suddenly have freed up. Got to give to someone, I guess, is the point. Athanasiou's making 4.2.
Yeah.
Hall's making 6 for one more year.
Anyway,
hell of an agent.
I mean, he's getting some of that too. He's doing pretty well.
But this has been something that I've been taught my whole life about treating people well and being nice to people and being a good guy. I'm on TV and I don't belong here. It's got me this far. Like, Nick Foligno is the most well-liked person in the NHL. Like, have you ever talked to anybody or heard anybody say one bad thing about the guy? He's beloved. everywhere he goes.
Oh, and I think
talked to him on the radio in the summer. I thought we were best friends after. Like,
Yeah.
he's the nicest guy in the world. And that goes a long way.
And if he was healthy, it would have been a different story for him continuing with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I would imagine if you would have found a reasonable number that you were comfortable with. But, he's battled. He battled his health the last little while, and at least he's healthy enough to warrant a 2-year deal. So
He'll be
good
30
on you, Nick, man.
Absolutely. 37 and 38 years old with 1,120 games in the bank already. So,
All right.
Yeah.
There's something I wanted to mention. Oh, yeah. Sid, it's just
Sid's
Two more
just
goals.
carrying
it's a
Pittsburgh.
joke how good he is.
Not carrying, dragging the Penguins.
Dragging.
Yeah, because they're
I'm
kind
with
of
you.
they're kind of lifeless, and he's dragging.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous how good he's been.
I don't think I'll make the same mistake and write Pittsburgh off, though, as I did probably with Edmonton earlier. They
That PD goal in OT last night, Erik Karlsson is like behind the offensive goal line in the corner.
Yeah.
As-
That's fine. But
As you'd expect.
they're still too talented
Too many good players.
to miss the playoffs.
Too many good players to miss playoffs.
All right. Want to do some text, Sammy?
Sure.
I think we got, I'm going to go first because I just kind of scrolled one. I don't know.
Where'd you see
Do
it?
Dilly, Who Dilly. Did you get that one?
I'm on the text line.
Okay.
For 59590. Where are you on? Is
I
it
don't
Twitter
know.
or-
No, this is to me and you.
From where?
He's on Signal.
I told you. Do Dilly, Who Dilly. At Do Dilly, Who Dilly. I think.
Kipper, I have no idea what you're talking about, brother.
Well, I got
Where?
a text.
Read it.
Okay.
And
okay.
it's to the fan, and you guys are on it too. It says, "Hey Kip, can you please back up the mic a bit? It overpowers everyone else."
Well, that's kind of the point.
And in
that's
fairness,
that's my strategy.
Kip has a radio voice, whereas I do not. And I sit back here sometimes. So maybe I should get up there.
It's been described
Yeah.
as sucking in helium.
Your voice.
No, yours.
Mine, yeah, sure. That's much more like it. Yeah, I'm more familiar with that description than the radio.
All right. Did you get the one that wants an explanation or a hot take on your hoodie today? Did you get that one?
I saw that one. That's from my boy Rick Young. He said it was really nice.
The most aimless hoodie of all time. Go sports teams.
Well,
all of them.
It's the super wild card weekend this weekend in the NFL, which is one of the best weekends of the year sports wise. And the Toronto Maple Leafs just chose to play both evenings, which I'm really excited about. Thanks a lot, Leafs. It's nothing sacred. It's the NFL playoffs. Don't play Sunday of the NFL playoffs.
Bold.
It's either that or it's just you're out of ideas to wear.
No,
on our show.
I'm wearing this because I love NFL football. And it's a big NFL football weekend.
But we got to get
If
you.
this guy was
we
a
gotta get you
real
some
Bills
wardrobe.
fan, he wouldn't be wearing the Dolphins, Jets, and Patriots.
I'm not a
up
Bills
in
fan.
here.
I'm not a Bills fan. I'm a fan of the entire AFC. I enjoy all the teams in the AFC. I root for them vehemently. So there you go.
So then grab a shovel
Yeah.
and go help the Bills
I
this
would,
weekend.
if I lived within a 2-mile, 3-mile radius of Buffalo, of the stadium, I'm 100% there with a shovel helping them dig out. There's going to be some wild weather this weekend. I don't know if you saw the Kansas City stuff, but it's like going to be dangerously cold, like minus 30 wind chill.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's just do winter. Let's have a bit of it.
And I think I read a story about Tua that he's never the quarterback for the he's never
His
won a
last
game.
name?
He's never Tagovailoa.
above 60 degrees. What?
Yeah, he hasn't won a game that's like below 35 degrees or something. He's done. They're done. They got those really not their uniforms don't travel. All right. Anyways, I'm gonna read one here. I heard a rumor. This is from a tag. They didn't put their name on it. Put your name on it, and I'll read it on air. I heard a rumor that the Canucks are targeting Gensel before the deadline. Is there any truth to that, or how plausible is it?
So I wrote
think it's more
earlier in
plausible.
my my notes for the Toronto Star that he turned down like $50 million from Pittsburgh.
Oh my!
Pardon?
This is news.
Yeah, Jake Gensel.
50?
Ballpark 50, but the
With an 8-year term?
no 6,
Ooh.
8 a season. That's
8.5.
That's fine money. Yeah.
8.5. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is Jake Gensel 2 or 3 years older than Willie Nylander?
Yeah, that sounds right.
So he won't.
He's 29.
So he's 29, turning 30.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep. He's in his
So-
30th year.
An 8-year deal out of Pittsburgh probably isn't that realistic, but 10 times 6 for a guy that's shot the puck in the net more times than Willie Nylander in less games is a compelling argument.
yeah. Interesting, too, because Pittsburgh has so many salary commitments. Like, they can't necessarily go to the max. I do wonder.
And he's been consistent score.
For sure.
Gensel. He's really good.
I wonder if they're not a team that will look to do what the Blues did with Shattenkirk and Stastny. And even though they're competitive this year, trade a guy like him and try to bring in a player.
Does it make any sense that Kyle Dubas is under instructions or the belief that he can still get this team to win the Stanley Cup with Sid Crosby being an MVP type, and you trade Gensel?
Well, I'm just saying, like, can you get someone who helps?
Bud.
The problem is Dubas has been in Toronto for years going, we'll just own rental a Zach Hyman or go through the laundry list of guys who eventually just left. Like, has he learned some lesson about you can't just let guys leave? Eventually it gets real thin. So
You're right, though, Kipper.
Yeah.
It's like
your argument's much better.
Sid's having an MVP season, and he's dragging them into the playoff conversation. It's like, wow, you know that guy that like you really like playing with and is really good and scores a lot of goals? We're going to trade him for futures.
Yeah.
Like, well, what future? The one where I'm not here?
Good point.
If by chance Vancouver can find a way to get him.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
That's got like Stanley Cup aspirations written all over it.
Love it.
This one's from Nathan in Calgary.
The Nate Dog.
How good does that Sharangovich trade look now? People did not like the trade at the time, but it seems like it's going to be a steal for Conroy.
I really like Sharangovich. Big believer in him. He didn't make sense. He was redundant for New Jersey.
How'd they get him again? Remind me.
Toffoli.
Yeah. Okay.
And Toffoli's been pretty useful in New Jersey. I feel like they kind of both win this trade because now you've got a 25, 26-year-old kid who can contribute for Calgary, hopefully for years. So
he's a big,
call it a win.
Strong kid.
And they got a 3 with him too. They got a 3rd-round pick with him.
With Sharangovich.
Yeah. It's a really good trade.
Very good.
Calgary's going to have to dish some guys. Do you think they sign Hannafin?
Well, if you're Hannafin, why would you sign?
Because you're being offered 50, 60 million bucks. That's why.
Okay. All right, sure.
Yeah.
I'll stay.
Because that's what it's going to take.
Yeah.
You assume he's in the ballpark of $7.5, $8 million a year.
He just does everything, right? Like, he skates so well. He's a big guy. He can contribute offensively. It's going to cost a lot of money, but the Flames, should pony up, I think.
Yeah, and the other defenseman to keep an eye on, guys, is with Ottawa going into the tank. Like, what's their decision? And we had Doug MacLean on earlier talking about not even close who the best defenseman in Ottawa is. It's Sanderson, but you got Shabbat at $8 million. Like, where is Jacob Chikrin in the future of the Ottawa Senators?
26 points in 37 games.
Yeah, they have to.
No, but
they have to sign him.
Yeah.
They have to sign him.
For sure.
Okay, so Chikrin's going to be looking for similar money like Hannafin at 7.5.
So. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, he plays almost 23 minutes a night.
Can they do that? Can they have Sanderson, Shabbat, and Chikrin all above $7 million?
You know what my problem with that is? My only problem with that? They can, but none of them, to me, are enough. You know, they're all, maybe Sanderson will be.
Sanderson will be, I think.
Sanderson may be like a top half number 1 guy, but like Chikrin's good. Like kind of in the Morgan Riley mold. And I think we've complained here in Toronto, or people have, that you don't have one of the elite number 1s.
Someone mentioned to me that the Leafs may be calling Ottawa just to see on Chikrin. Because there was Chikrin talk prior to him getting traded to Ottawa. I wonder if the Leafs revisit that.
What would Chikrin have left on his?
He's got this year and next year.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you're correct. 4.6.
And here's the tricky part for Ottawa is that if you choose not to trade him this year and you maybe move him at the draft, you get less.
Yeah, I'm so sick of that at the draft thing. It's not better to wait till then.
There's more value in trading for him now with 2 chances at a Stanley Cup with him on the old deal than just 1.
Agreed.
And Ottawa has to weigh that out. So here are your choices. Trade him now, trade him at the draft, trade him next trade deadline, or sign him. Those are your only choices.
Yeah. He is a name to watch then. Keep an eye on Chychrun at Ottawa.
I'm just seeing what else we got here. Do you think that Nick Cousins is the dirtiest player in the league?
I certainly didn't
this
before
season,
this
for
year.
sure.
Yeah, before this season,
I want to see
certainly
more
didn't.
proof, though.
There's no real, that's a dying.
Like Radko
breed.
Gudas is
But remember,
pretty filthy.
when it just felt like there was, for a while there, with
The Patrick Coletta days.
I just
Cook
think
and Coletta
he's
and
just got to back
Torres.
it up. That's
and-
all. If you're going to play that hard and that dirty, buddy, you got to drop your gloves now. You got to answer the bell a little bit.
Yeah.
Are the Flames going to trade Jacob Markstrom from Corey in Calgary?
Yeah, interesting. You know,
You
he's
saw Weeks is sweet today.
What's he have left on his deal?
He's got quite a bit.
Yeah,
doesn't
he does.
2 more years at $6 million.
No, I think maybe even longer.
I'm just looking it up now.
Deal.
Radio here.
Take a moment. Yeah.
I think he signed six times.
Yeah. All right. He is $6 million this year, and then 2 more.
2 more. Yeah.
Big ticket.
Okay.
So they got to eat money on that for a contender to take him.
That's not part of the. If they are even contemplating making calls, I'm not discussing with teams holding salary on that.
You're saying we want to get the money off the books.
He's been good.
Yeah.
He's been really good. You're getting
$6 million
a
for a
good goalie. I'm not
is-
holding any money on Markstrom.
Yeah.
And with a goalie shortage that's out there right now.
He's been a 9-10 in 25
Yes.
games on a pretty
No,
mediocre
he's been-
team.
Some nights I've watched him, he's been lights out.
Yeah. God, his last year wasn't very good.
He's up and down.
Yeah.
He can be as hot as anybody.
Yeah, but so the whole team.
Yeah, it's true. But the goalies that you love are just guys that you kind of know what you're gonna get. You expect something, and he's not that.
No.
He's really hot and cold. All right, boys. That's it for text.
So we've worked now over 3 years, and I continue to learn something about you guys every day. Today, I learned that we would not have a show today if you two weren't pizza delivery guys.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, my favorite job ever. Number
What a
one,
job.
other than this one,
I
clearly.
do not see the link.
The link is that I drove around for almost 10 years. Well, maybe not 10, 6. Listening to Sports Talk Radio, listening to Sportsnet 590 The Fan, listening to Blue Jays games on the station, being like, I could do this. I could do this. And loving it. I love sports. And then that's basically the reason I got into it, because I delivered pizza and listened to so much Sports Talk Radio.
Well,
So if it wasn't for old Dominios, I wouldn't be here.
so it's a good thing you weren't listening to the Dr. Ruth show. Who's a sex therapist, right? Who knows
Yeah.
where,
I could do
where
this.
you would
I
have
could do this.
ended up.
Yeah, I know. So there you go. But you deliver pizza too. It's an incredible job.
It's an awesome job. I did it for Boston Pizza, for Bretto in Kelowna, BC.
But
I did it for a couple
It's kind of changed now because there's all the delivery things, like the Uber Eats and all these different things. So it's not the same as it used to be. Don't let me get on my high horse here about delivery and the state of delivery these
You
days.
never spit on anyone's pizza, did you?
Oh no, of course not.
You slice?
I mean, they give me a bad tip. I might do a burnout in their driveway. But always tip your delivery drivers. It's you tip servers, and I tip servers well. But think about it: if you're going to stiff a delivery driver, they took their personal car, drove into
There's nobody on the planet that doesn't ask for a tip anymore.
I know.
Oh, you can't even go get a coffee. They spin the iPad. You're like, buddy, you want me to go
literal
behind there and
job
pour
is
the
the coffee maker.
I can go back there and pour the coffee if you want. Anyways.
Rant.
All right. We got to go. I feel like we should be hearing
I
some
don't know.
music. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there's our cue. That means the weekend's starting.
Let's go.
Our thanks to Aarif Deen covering the Avalanche, and of course, Off the Rails Friday with Doug MacLean. Have a safe weekend, everybody. If you get a chance, give us a rating and a review.